Okay, so let's talk about Superfly, all right? And let's talk about blaxploitation cinema. Let's do a little fucking breakdown real quick. So, basically what happened was, after the 1940s and 50s, which was a lot of film noir, black and white, low budget, and, you know, I'm not going to go into all of, like, the big movies. I didn't do no research for this first. I took a film history class, so, like, but the 40s and 50s, of note, from my study of film, what I'm going to attribute you guys to, so you can kind of get just a little idea of what time it was 40s, 50s, black and white era movies, you know what I mean, Universal Monsters, Wolfman, 1940, and after that, a lot of Draculas, a lot of Frankensteins, the strange cinema era, where they were releasing movies like The Brain That Wouldn't Die. In the 70s, The Bat People. In the 50s, I Was a Teenage Werewolf. There's an Italian movie called Werewolf vs. the Vampire Women. That was kind of a part of the 70s. After the strange cinema era in the 60s kind of went from black and white to color, you get this like new wave of European influence horror and gothic horror movies, and Werewolf vs. the Vampire Women would fall into that category, as well as some other films. The Wicker Man, I think, came out in the 70s. Crazy ass movie. If you've never seen The Wicker Man, fucking watch The Wicker Man. That movie was insane. That movie was a trip. So yeah, like, you have the 1950s and the 60s roll around, and let me check real quick what year this was, just so I at least have a reference point for you on this one aspect of note as far as dates and goes. Okay, so Malcolm X was assassinated in 1968. If I am correct, the Black Panther Party was formed in okay, so it was formed in 1966. Excuse me, correction, my bad. Malcolm X was assassinated in 1965. And the Panther Party formed in 1966 as a direct result of Malcolm X's influence and of his consciousness directly, the by any means necessary approach to protecting the neighborhood and protecting the people and standing up for our liberation. The Black Panther Party was a part of the Black Power movement. You had Kwame Ture, formerly known as Stokely Carmichael, with coining the term Black Power, writing the book Black Power. You had Eldridge Cleaver, Huey P. Newton, all in the Black Panther Party. You had Muhammad Ali, formerly known as Cassius Clay, Malcolm X, Muhammad Ali declaring he was Muslim, Malcolm X, MLK, the Civil Rights Movement, all of that influenced black consciousness. So by the time you get to the 1970s, and that's after the Panthers have formed in 1966 and started to influence things, you have this mecca of black consciousness occurring in the United States, in the Northern American region. That then catapulted into the culture through the arts movements and eventually through film with Sweetback's Badass Song. Sweetback's Badass Song came out in 1971. It was created by, written and directed, produced, scored, and edited, and starring Melvin Van Peebles. His son, Mario Van Peebles, plays him as a child in the opening sequence, and Mario Van Peebles also went on to create New Jack City for the New Jack City generation. So his dad kicked it off for the blaxploitation generation. His son came around then in the 90s and kicked it off with New Jack City for the Pac generation, 90s generation, my parents' era's generation, with New Jack City, Blade, feel me? So Sweetback's Badass Song was a film, but it also had aspects of voyeuristic documentary, because the X-rated scenes in the film are not faked. They were actually real. Melvin Van Peebles contracted like gonorrhea or syphilis, and got some STDs doing that shit. So it was legit. But the film, it was depicting a black power consciousness mindset on film in a way that hadn't been done in in that era, that's also the grindhouse era, the exploitation era. This is the beginning of it. The shit that influenced Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez, that's where we're looking at. Sweetback's Badass Song. And it was militant, very militant, very militant. I'm going to reference it at the end once I get through Superfly. So Sweetback's Badass Song. Then you have, eventually, what ultimately ended up happening was Hollywood siphoned off the consciousness and made it exploitational with Superfly. The movie Superfly with Shaft, they took the militants out and just made it about being cool, hip. And that's how they started pushing the shit they have on us now, this turn up lit shit. They started then. So you had movies like Superfly and Shaft were the ones that shifted it from militants. But Superfly is still, you know, one of the G's movies of all time. And the soundtrack was by Curtis Mayfield. And it's considered one of the greatest soundtracks of all time. I really like the soundtrack of the new one. Future produced the new one. They got a song on there, No Shame. No Shame. And it's dope. It's like one of the themes, one of the central music themes used in the film. But, so there was Sweetback's Bad Song, and then you have other movies. You got, like, Blackula, you got Black is Scream with Pam Grier. You got Pam Grier's movies, Foxy Brown, Coffee, Sheba Baby, all of her films. There's a movie called Black Fist that came out in 1973. The guy who stars in that one is also in Scream, Blackula, Scream. There's a vampire movie called Ganja and Hess, which Spike Lee recently updated, and it was a vampire film, and Spike Lee's version is called The Sweet Blood of Jesus, and that was a remake of Ganja and Hess, and basically that's also attributed to the resurgence of the blaxploitation film era, because we're retaking energy from that and, you know, making new movies. Now we have movies like Get Out and stuff like that, and Get Out kind of, you know, started pushing in that direction. Then we got Wakanda. Right now, Afrofuturism and black consciousness is back in the forefront. And, of course, you know, they're trying to shift it again with the cool, keep it lit, keep it cool, keep it hip. We don't need the consciousness. We don't need knowledge. So they're trying to do that again. So that's why Superfly came out again. So I was expecting Superfly to try to put us to sleep again. Superfly was the shit. For me, it was like Scarface meets motherfucking Straight Outta Compton. The first time I seen it, I was so tired, I fell asleep, so I didn't see the whole thing. Second time, I was still hell tired from working, so I fell asleep in this whole thing. Third time, seen it all the way through, but I'd already loved what I'd seen from, I seen like, you know, a good portion of it the first two times still. So I fucking loved it. I just went and seen it again. It's great. It's great. It's dope. They have Shaolin in it. There is literally Shaolin in the film. The main character is like, he's like Midnight from the Midnight Saga I was telling you about by Sister Soldier. He does Shaolin. He studies in Shaolin. Very much like the book. It very much reminded me of the book. The violence was very much like Animal. It was basically the Animal Saga and the Midnight Saga. If you put them together, that's what Superfly is. It's dope as fuck. Ill shit. Most lit movie I've went to see in theaters since Straight Outta Compton. And it also has the actor who portrayed Eazy-E in Straight Outta Compton. Homie's in this. He plays Eddie in this. And it's dope. And the main character, I'm pretty sure he was in that movie Burning Sands about the college fraternity. I think he was the main character in that, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, Superfly was definitely dope. And basically, it was, I mean, in a way, I feel like it was woke. I feel like it was woke. The main character actually had an Ankh tattoo on his neck, which also prompted me to get it. Because I'd been telling my mom before that, like, neck tattoos are badass. I'm finna get a badass neck tattoo. And then we went and seen it. I was like, you see? He had the fucking neck tattoo, and it was badass. He was kicking people. He was kicking niggas in the face, bro, like on some full Shaolin shit. And it was fucking dope. And there's a scene. There's a scene at the end that very much mirrored, and the ending scene, the final scene, well, not the final closing scene, but the scene before that, which is the climax closing scene. Very reflective of Sweetback's Badass Song. If you go watch Sweetback's Badass Song and then you watch that, you'll see the contrast and where they drew the parallel there. And they're talking about doing a part 2. I'm trying to be in that motherfucker. I'm trying to be in Superfly 2. I'm gonna get this Shaolin Dynasty so big that I'm gonna be in fucking Superfly 2. No bullshit. No bullshit. I'm gonna be in that motherfucker on the Rule of the Bone. On the fucking Rule of the Bone. And to close, I just want to close with this ink right here, the 38 chamber Shaolin on my flesh. I will impose Rule of the Bone on the world, and it will make the world better. And we will impose rule of the bone on the world. All of the Shaolin Village natives in the underground village where we do voodoo. Devious till we die, motherfuckers. Stay devious. RPX.